if you're saying that this is what the MILF seeks but cannot be accommodated within the framework of our existing constitution, where do we go from here? What do we do, Kapepe? Do we amend the constitution first, or do we continue talking to the MILF? Because obviously we cannot agree to that now if it's prohibited by the constitution.
Well,
unless we try to look for language that will go about it
we
or
should
go
not
around
be
it.
imprisoned in the box that we have.
Our you want to think out of the box? Okay.
Yes. So, as I said, there's so many defects, shortcomings of both our presidential system and our unitary system. And so it's time to consider amendments. And in fact, there are many proposed amendments. There are so many bills in the House and some in the Senate.
Why do you think it's not being taken up?
Well, I'll tell you why at least from my personal experience, which was during the 6-year term of President Arroyo, from 2004. She espoused charter change in the campaign for the 2004 elections. She was the only one among the presidential candidates. So our citizens' movement for a federal Philippines were encouraged by this. And so when she became president, we reminded her, well, you said you are in favor of change. And we have 3 important changes. Shift to a parliamentary system, shift to a federal system eventually, and liberalization of the economic provisions. She said, yes, okay. But in the course of the debates, discussions, and so on, she abandoned the liberalization of the economy. She abandoned federalism and concentrated on parliamentary government. In the course of time, she became more and more illegitimate in the eyes of many people. So many things went wrong, and so people were very suspicious increasingly suspicious of her. She was her approval rating went down, and in other words, she lost
momentum.
The wrong sponsor of charter change, because to have charter change, you have to have the approval of most people, majority of the people, and so charter change was demonized, as she was demonized, and so it turned out she was the wrong sponsor at the wrong time. So that's why. So all the debates, and we went around the country in every regional capital. We had discussions, and there was a favorable response there. But you know, if the media are against you, the church are against you, and most political leaders are against you, it can't
well,
prosper.
because basically constitutional changes will realign the political powers and privileges in the country without question.
Oh yes.
So some people are going to lose some, and some people are going to gain some.
Yes.
And as they were saying, wala daw gustong magbago ng status quo sa bansa natin eh. Paano gagawin natin?
Because of the vested interest, naturally, yes.
So the question that we still have to face now, we have a president that says constitutional change is not my priority. So how can we continue with the negotiations?
Well, that's his problem. You know, he went out of his way to meet Murad in Tokyo to put momentum to the peace talks. But if he doesn't consider amending the Constitution, I don't think there will be any.
Well, this is, alam mo, actually, yan ang aking kinakatakot dito, that, you know, we have existing jurisprudence based on the decision of the Supreme Court. Whether you agree with it or not, it lays down, and any study of that decision, which was made 8-7, shows that there were a lot of other people. It was not as close as 8-7 as one might think on a number of the issues that were involved in the Constitution. Many of those who opposed who were opposed to the majority decision thought it was simply moot and academic.
What was that? You mean to say the People's Initiative?
No. The 8-7 on the MOA.
On the MOA.
Okay. So yun ang ating tinitingnan dito na niladlad ng Korte Suprema natin kung ano yung mga bagay doon sa MOA na labag sa ating saligang batas at labag sa ating mga batas, no? And it's like a straight jacket, the way I see it now, na the need for public consultations is very ill-defined. Ano ba ibig sabihin mo ng public consultation? How many people of the Republic of the Philippines do you have to talk to, and how do you conduct that public information? And on what provisions? And there are certain things that, from a strictly a negotiating standpoint, unless you want to spoil the negotiations, unless you want to delay it, you don't want to divulge some things prematurely. Not because you're trying to keep things secret, but simply because there are times that it is not prudent na ilabas mo kung ano yung mga final objectives mo. Simply from a negotiating standpoint. So, the question that will again come up is, what are we going to negotiate? Would you, for example, be in favor of amending the Constitution to allow a sub-state, Pepe?
To allow much more regional and local autonomy than presently allowed by the Constitution.
Is it a matter of amending the Autonomous Act?
No. You amend the Constitution itself. The Constitution itself.
Because the amendment to the Autonomous Act might violate the Constitution.
The Organic Act is consistent with what RMM is.
Oo. So hindi makukuha yan sa pagbabago lang nung
they're asking for more than what RMM has now. So you have to amend the Constitution.
So would you favor then that we go into a process of amending the Constitution now, Alan?
For that purpose, for that matter, I would like to, with all due respect to all concerned, I do not believe in the peace talks with the MILF, because the MILF are rebels, and rebellion, last I checked, is still a crime under the revised penal code. So if we adopt as a national policy peace talks with those who violate our criminal laws, then we might as well conduct peace talks with wetting lords and illegal drug lords and human trafficking lords. This is the absurdity of these peace talks.
Oh, let me ask you another more fundamental question.
I beg to disagree. We have the communist rebellion on the one hand and the Moro rebellion on the other. And the state, our republic, is negotiating peace with both groups. So, in effect, they are recognizing that they have legitimate demands. Otherwise, why talk? And it is also, I think the state is also honestly, realistically accepting that they cannot deal with them otherwise. Using force will not work, has not worked. And so
we might as well talk peace.
They are illegal, yes, because they're rebels, but how do you deal with them?
They've achieved the state of belligerency, as they say.
All-out war, like Joseph Estrada did, which did not work either.
Well, I'm not too sure that we can conclude that so quickly, because the military made a lot of gains at that time, except that he got taken out of office.
Yes.
No, yun ang nangyari. Now, it would have been a costly war in terms of lives and in terms of money, but I'm not too sure what it would have resulted in. We've got a number of these things that they're piling up. 0927-331-1543. Why can't we Filipinos, Christians, and Muslims alike get along? Don't our Muslims know that the foreign countries who are supporting them are only after our natural resources? Siguro hindi nila alam, but they obviously feel more kinship with the members of the OIC or Malaysia or Indonesia than they feel. I heard one of them says, but we don't consider ourselves Filipinos.
Actually, in the light of these ongoing negotiations for peace talks between GRP and the MILF, we must take into consideration the earlier GRP peace talks negotiation, which ended up in the Tripoli Agreement in 1976. Yes, and this was sanctioned by 57 members of the OIC.
Ano nga pala ang status ng kapipitingin mo? Kasi nagsasalita din si Biswari, how can I have an agreement with the MILF when I have an existing agreement with the GRP in 1996?
Well, our government is negotiating with the MILF.
Hindi kasama ang MILF eh.